Every year the result changes, and every year the explanation changes with it. This show exists to stop that. Because if your definition of success changes every October, you don't have a standard. You have a coping mechanism. My name is Brian Leavy, and this is The Standard. This first episode is one of the most important I'll ever do, because if we don't define the standard now, every conversation after this becomes noise. So today, we're answering one question calmly and clearly. What is the standard for the New York Yankees? Not emotionally, not nostalgically, but operationally. The standard for the New York Yankees is not winning a World Series every year. It's just not realistic, and it's not what serious organizations think. The standard is whether the Yankees consistently behave like an organization that expects to win championships, not just hopes to. That distinction matters. So here it is. The standard for the New York Yankees is championship grade process. A process that reliably produces teams built for October, not teams that explain October after the fact. Everything that follows flows from that. Now there's going to be 6 pillars that we are going to hold the Yankees to the standard of. The first pillar is build for October, not April. The regular season is a qualifier. October is the test. By the standard, a Yankees roster has to make sense before matchups are known. Regular season optimization fails in October because you're not facing the worst teams in the league. You're only facing elite teams and elite pitchers. October exposes flaws because the pressure is on. And if your team tends to go through cold streaks, extended cold streaks during the regular season, that's not going to fly in the postseason because your team's going to be out faster than you can think of it. And versatility, depth, and balance are huge for October because you need to be able to pivot quickly. You might need a pinch runner to steal a base. You might need a pinch hitter to come in and get a hit off the bench. You're going to need some shutdown relievers, and multiple of them. If a team only works when conditions are perfect, it doesn't pass the standard. Pillar number 2, anticipate risk. Don't explain it. Injuries are not excuses, they are variables. By the standard, injuries are assumed. Now we know as Yankee fans that Stanton is probably going to get injured this year. Do we have somebody else to slot into DH? Do we have other players to slot into those positions of those going to hit in the DH spot? If plan A, breaking, ends your season, the season was never serious. Pillar number 3 is to use advantages intelligently. Money is not the standard, but how money is used is. Payroll should be extending the margin. It's not a justification. There still needs to be contract discipline. You can't just be overspending on one player just because you have more money than most teams. You have to use that money to shore up those positions that maybe you've struggled in the past. Maybe you need a third baseman who can hit. Maybe you need relievers in the bullpen. Spending badly doesn't excuse failure, it magnifies it. Pillar number 4 is decision-making consistency. Can you trust the process? Does it repeat itself? And is it accountable? Are the choices structurally sound? If Boone is making the same decisions and it's constantly resulting in failures for this team, that doesn't hold up to the standard. If you're constantly going to the same bullpen arm in the same high leverage situation and they're not coming through and they're blowing the game for you, that's not meeting the standard. If the explanation changes after the result, the process was never clear. Pillar number 5 is October scrutiny. October isn't unfair, it's unforgiving. Do the patterns matter? Are repeat failures random? And does preparation show up under pressure? Does the model hold under examination? We're going to have guys who hopefully will hit close to 300 this year. Will they be able to continue that during the playoffs? We're going to have pitchers who are striking guys out left and right. Hopefully, we're going to have a reliable closer and setup man. Will that hold up under pressure in October? October doesn't lie, it reveals. Pillar number 6, uncomfortable decisions. Comfort is the enemy of standards. Are we moving on early? What are the optics versus the leverage that a player brings? And what is the long-term thinking? Does the outcome justify the discomfort? This past season, we finally made the uncomfortable decision to move on from DJ LeMahieu. And I think most Yankee fans loved DJ LeMahieu. What he did for us when he came to the team, winning a batting title, he was great for us the first few years. And then the injury started. And he was never quite the same after that. But we just continued to go to him and go to him. And he just was not the same. So we finally made the uncomfortable decision to move on. And I think we can all agree that we're better off. Elite organizations choose competitiveness over comfort every time. So let's be clear what the standard is not. It's not World Series or bust. It's not emotional fandom. Look, New York fans are very emotional. It's kind of what makes us the best fans in the world. We're super passionate about our teams. But being emotional is not going to lead you to making great decisions on the field or in the front office. So the standard is not nostalgia, and it's not constant outrage. We're going to be mad at this team. We're going to go through, hopefully not too long, but we will go through stretches of struggling and losing streaks. That's what happens during the year. But we can't just stay outraged and yelling at this team because all of those shall pass. This is about professionalism. And why does this show matter? Why does the standard matter? It's because when you define the standard once, something powerful happens. You stop arguing about feelings, you stop reinventing the conversation every year, and you actually start evaluating. And one thing I want to make clear before the season starts, the standard does not just evaluate teams, it evaluates players too. because rosters are just a collection of players' traits. And this matters because talent alone doesn't determine postseason success, traits do. Some skills translate when the margins shrink, others get exposed by it. October doesn't just test teams, it compresses players. So when we talk about players on the show, it's not going to be, is he good? Is he bad? We're going to be asking something a little bit more specific. Does his game survive when everything tightens? There's going to be 5 ways that we're evaluating players this season. First is pressure translation. Does the skill set hold when leverage rises? The second, decision reliability. Can you trust the process even when the results fluctuate for this player? The third is role clarity. Is the player being used where his traits succeed? And this will be interesting for position players that are playing multiple positions. Hopefully Jazz will stay at second, but is he going to be at third? Is Ben Rice going to be catching mostly or first base mostly? And then where are our bullpen arms going to be used? Who's going to be used in the high leverage situations? This is all going to be something interesting that we will be evaluating throughout the season on what makes the most sense for the team. The fourth is their volatility profile. How wide is the performance band when the stakes rise? Are they consistent with their numbers when they are in high leverage situations? Or do they struggle? Or do they come through? And fifth is stackability. Do the traits complement others structurally? Every time we have a championship season, you have guys that bring different traits to the team. In 2009, Nick Swisher was the chemistry guy. He was the guy in the clubhouse bringing the energy. Everybody loved him. He wasn't necessarily hitting home runs every time, but you knew you could count on him to bring the energy. Hideki Matsui and A-Rod were the home run hitters. Not everybody in the lineup's going to hit home runs, but you also need guys like Derek Jeter who get on base in front of them. So, a team like that, you had all these different traits from different players that just meshed well together. Good players don't automatically create good October rosters. So if during the season you ever hear me sound calm during a cold streak or concerned during a productive streak, it's because the standard doesn't just measure moments, it's measuring survivability. And that doesn't remove emotion from the equation. If anything, it sharpens it. Because frustration usually points to structural risk, and excitement usually signals traits that travel. So when we evaluate players this season, we're not reacting to just batting averages or ERAs in isolation. We're evaluating how those traits behave when the margin shrinks. Because talent gets you to October, but reliability keeps you there. So that's the standard. It evaluates organizations, it evaluates decisions, and it evaluates players before the results tell us what to feel. For the rest of this season, this is the measuring stick. Wins won't change it. Losses won't change it. Only decisions will. This is the standard with Brian Leavy.